Going on YouTube, Cloverbells here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be building around Glastrier as we promised from our previous video. And again, this is an old Sword and Shield favorite, you know, within the Trick Room archetype. If you just look at its stats, you'll pretty much see why. And up until this point in Scarlet and Violet, right, we've had some Pokemon over here like, you know, Iron Hands as an example, or, you know, Great Tusk, where you had triple digits in your HP, attack, and defense stat, but then your special defense was like subpar a little bit. But look at Glastrier. Look at this, 110 special defense, right? So it's just as bulky on the defensive side as it is with the special defense. And then at the same time, you got this whopping 145 attack stat, right? And then again, base 100 HP. It's so good. And again, 30 speed, you know, basically puts it on par with the Amoongus, right? Because Amoongus is another Pokemon that is also base speed 30, right? So this was a really good Pokemon in Dynamax and Sword and Shield. It ran through a lot of different teams, and the only way to really hinder it or stop it was if you cycled your Intimidate with Incineroar, right? But of course, there's no Incineroar right now, so Glastrier stocks are through the roof at the moment, okay? Yes, I understand there's Landorus, I understand there's Gyarados, I understand there's Arcanine, but you know, at the same time, now we also have another item that can deter Intimidate, and that is the Clear Amulet now, right? So your Intimidate is all of a sudden invalidated, okay? And from here, now what we can do is basically just build around Glastrier, right? We're going to need Trick Room setters. We're going to need a bunch of support Pokemon. We're going to need other offensive threats. But at the very least, I think, you know, Cresselia is always like a Pokemon here anytime you want to try and run Glastrier. Not just like Ursaluna, you know, Trick Room Sweeper, Trick Room Setter. Okay, this is usually what you want to start with when you're trying to build that key Trick Room team, you know, for the format. And, you know, the whole idea with Cresselia, again, as well, is, you know, you have this access not only to just Trick Room, but for Lunar Blessing, right? Because now with Lunar Blessing, you're able to also heal your Glastrier, okay? And that's also very important because now this thing is never going to die because you're just, you know, slowly healing it over time, you know, as, you know, and just like one KO and it just steamrolls, right? Because remember, it's basically Moxie, right? So, you know, just be aware of Glastrier, and it's really good into a lot of different things, like the opposing Ursaluna. You know, you can Icicle Crash it. It's good into, you know, other grass types, like for example Rillaboom, other flying types like, you know, Galarian Moltres. All the genies are at the mercy of Glastrier. All right, and with the Clear Amulet, you know, you're gonna need another answer, you know, to try and stop it. You can always burn it, but then what if you just had Terra Fire here? Now what are you doing? Okay, I guess you have the Amoongus, you know, answer where you can just sleep it. So that could be a check to it. You know, so it really just becomes a toss-up if you want to do like Terra Grass, Terra Fire, even Terra Water is pretty good on Glastrier. So this way, you know, you don't get Flare Blitzed or overheated to smithereens, right? In that sense. But it's a very good Pokemon. It's super bulky. You have to stall the Trick Room turns if you want to be able to beat it. But yeah, the one thing that kind of hurt it when Dynamax wasn't around was the fact that your main stab move, Icicle Crash, can miss. Okay, and that's the main issue with it. It's giving you Hydro Pump's you know, syndrome a little bit. You do get a 30% chance to flinch though, so there's always that. But as long as you hit it, that's the main important thing. Now, granted, you do have the option for Icicle Spear. Oh, you lose Icicle Spear, never mind. Okay, forget about that argument. But anyway, so I feel like you start here. Okay, and then the viewer who actually requested this team had another request in addition to their Glastrier team, and they really wanted to use Abomasnow. Okay, and they made it specific that they wanted Weakness Policy Abomasnow. Okay, now again, because this was a tier sub to the channel, of course I got to build a squad around what you guys want. So this is what we have here. I would use something else besides Abomasnow in this slot. But, you know, it's not a bad option, right? Of course, just because, you know, you have Glastrier, you get the snow benefit, you get +1 in the defense, okay? So you're making it super hard to break, okay? And that's pretty good. And then, of course, you always get the Blizzard spam stuff. And then, you know, you provide bulk for your entire team by, you know, giving it Aurora Veil, right? So it's not all bad for Abomasnow. Abomasnow has some good use, you know, on a team with Glastrier and Cresselia like this. So I don't mind, right? You're able to just set up Veil turn 1. You could even set up Trick Room and potentially get both options. So, you know, it just really all depends on how you want to do it. But, you know, this would be as much of a Trick Room core as it gets, you know, with these two. Now, personally, I would just do like Amoongus in this slot, or even something like, let me just import this. I would even do like a Fake Out Mon, where like you just had Iron Hands, for example, right? Because like anytime you want to have like a good Trick Room set, either you do like Iron Hands or something like Amoongus. This is what I would do, okay? But we're gonna have to use Abomasnow, which is still totally fine, all right? Then from here, the rest of the team look like this. So I kind of wanted like a faster mode, okay? But something also that can do well with Cresselia was also Landorus. And now you add Intimidate to your team, okay? And now what you can do with Landorus is with the Assault Vest and, you know, with U-turn potential. Now what ends up happening is you could do Cresselia Landorus turn 1, go for the Trick Room, then U-turn, get some chip damage, and then into the Glastrier. And now with Trick Room up and something that has already been chipped, now Icicle Crash is a very easy target into that slot, especially if they don't have Protect, they're in trouble, right? So you can do combinations like that. And of course, you know, with Landorus and, you know, Cresselia, you can just Earthquake next to it and then just click Lunar Blessing with your Landorus, heal it up, just keep spamming it, right? And until they have like a good answer, this is what you're doing. Great synergy. You know, of course, it comes from the Chalk Core from previous competitive Pokemon formats, right? But this is it in terms of that. You can even do stuff like, you know, Abomasnow Landorus lead, you know, trying to get up the screens, U-turn into something else, you know, potentially, right? It has great synergy here with Landorus and Cresselia, right? And then from here, actually, let me just move it over here just because I like where it is. I like another genie here. I like Tornadus, okay? And I do like the Tailwind addition to a team like this. I've always been a fan, I should say, of Tail Room, which is you know, a Tailwind option on a Trick Room team. So this way in a best of 3 format, you know, you can really keep one option in the back and maybe even lead one option, or just go complete one mode in one game and then the other mode in another game potentially. It just all depends on how the matchups play out. But I like this as well. So this way you have a fast mode to the team with Landorus and Urshifu, Landorus and Tornadus, and I kind of just spoiled what I was gonna go with my last slot there. And yes, it is in fact the Urshifu, right? You gotta have this thing. It's just too good. It's too good not to have Urshifu in a format like this. It's a breaker. You know, if you need something to bust through, you need big damage, you need big chip damage. Look no further than an Urshifu on a team like this, right? And you know, like I said, you could even just do like Torn Urshifu, and you know, sometimes you could even do like a Scarf variant, where like maybe some leading matchup isn't quite great, and you can just U-turn out, right? You can even do this, but you know, I honestly just want to sash this thing and just play relatively safe here. But this is it. This is what I had him on, and when I was using it, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of good. There's actually some good synergy here. Like I said, I'd probably just take out the Abomasnow and just go for like Iron Hands. I think Iron Hands really does well on a comp like this, especially with Fake Out Volt Switch, where again, just like U-turn, you get another pivoter that you can get in depending on the situation, right? So all that is really nice. But other than that, if I had to just use Abomasnow on a team like this, I'm not unhappy. I think this is okay. And you know, when we gave it to the viewer, they were doing a pretty solid job with it as well. Okay, so this is the squad. All right, Glastrier, Abomasnow. This is the Snow Core. Then you have the fast mode with Landorus, Tornadus, and Urshifu, and then of course Cresselia. You know, for your Trick Room setter, for your Trick Room mode to the T. All right, so now from here, what we're gonna do is we're going to put in the rest of the moves, the rest of the items, some Terra options, and then showcase, you know, just a couple of test battles. All right, so let's take a look. All right, so back to the Glastrier over here. So like I said, you know, you don't have to run Clear Amulet. Also, you could even do like an Assault Vest variant. You could do a Swords Dance variant, by the way. I do like Glastrier Swords Dance behind the screens. I think that's a very good idea. Especially if you have like Iron Hands, you know, Fake Out. If you can do that, like Fake Out Swords Dance, that's also a play. Fake Out Trick Room, like I said, but this is still okay. But anyway, I like the Clear Amulet set. Okay, we're gonna rely on the screens and then not get intimidated. You know, just hide behind the bulk and deal a bunch of damage. Heavy Slam and Stomping Tantrum. You know, good coverage against Flutter Mane. And then the ground move, really nice into Heatran stuff. Okay, force them to Terra. If they Terra Grass to stop the ground move, then you just kill them next turn with the Terra, not Terra Ice, but you know, with your Ice move in general, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense. If I had to choose a moveset on Glastrier like this. But if I had Assault Vest, I would just put Close Combat over here, you know, in my last slot. Then over here, the Abomasnow. Again, we already mentioned Blizzard Aurora Veil. I think just straight up Leaf Storm is really good. So this way you get, the most optimal amount of damage, and then just protect, just for positional purposes. Cresselia, it's kind of hard not to run Lunar, some move like this, but I do like, believe it or not, Moonblast. Just something for the Urshifus, something for the other Iron Hands. Just a good, strong fairy coverage move is important to me. All right, and then I like Skill Swap. This is something that's nice against Ursalunas, where you can just honestly just skill swap away their guts. You can even skill swap your own Landorus for Intimidate. You could do that too and get a second Intimidate. I've done that a couple times. Just really all depends. And you kind of want your Trick Room up, so Mental Herb is a great item to have on the Cresselia. I like it a lot. If you want to go for another move besides skill swap on your Cresselia, feel free to do so. I've seen like Thunderbolt, for example. I've seen Icy Wind. I've seen Ally Switch. Okay, just really all depends on how you want to play it. But at the very least, Lunar Blessing, Trick Room are a must. From there, you can even run like Psychic here. Just like another secondary attack move. But just for the Amoongus matchup. But I feel like with Glastrier and Abomasnow and like a bunch of flying types, I think our Amoongus matchup is okay. All right, Landorus. I like Earthquake here. I like U-Turn. Like I said, you got to have these two moves at the very least. Rock Slide is also pretty good. And then this last one was up in the air. I guess single target ground move is pretty good. Stomping Tantrum. We already have that on Glastrier, but honestly, like even something like Hammer Arm is also relatively useful, especially on a Trick Room team. I feel like this is also pretty good into certain matchups, especially against big steel types. You can definitely use make good use out of Hammer Arm, for example. And then from there, if we are running the Assault Vest, I was just trying to look at other moves. I was even like looking at Smackdown over there. Stone Edge was another one. Even though we did have Rock Slide, Terra Blast, Terra Flying was another option. Like you can do that as well. Terra Blast, Terra Flying, straight up. And then that will rip through a lot of different things, especially like the Urshifu if you already have like good speed control already. So it's up to you with this last move. I leave it up to you, the viewer. But at the time that I was testing, I was using Hammer Arm. So, take it for what you will. All right, Tornadus. So I liked not losing to Amoongus in Trick Room, potentially. So sometimes I might use the pivot option of just going into my Tornadus, for safety goggle purposes. Yes, we have a grass type in Abomasnow, so that's good. And now we have a safety goggles Tornadus where we can get around the Amoongus and potentially deny things, especially with Taunt. Maybe there's a Trick Room center over there, you never know. I still think you run Bleak Wind Storm and then Protect in this slot. Now, if you're worried about the accuracy of Bleak Wind Storm outside of rain, that's understandable. You can definitely just replace this with like Air Slash, much more accurate move, single target. There's no rain, you might as well do this. But if you definitely like Bleak Wind, then you can definitely stay with the Bleak Wind Storm. Okay. The Ursh, is very standard set here, nothing too crazy, of course. Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and then Protect over here. And in terms of like our Terra options, you can definitely still go with the Terra Water Glastrier. If you're fearing Will-O-Wisp, you can do Terra Fire Glastrier. Just really depends on you and how you want to play it. Fire is really good as well, just because as an Ice type, you're weak against Steel type moves. So Fire will help you take care of that matchup as well. In that sense, right? And it will neutralize the fighting weakness. All in all. Abomasnow, I do like Terra Ghost here, just so that I don't get faked out. And also the E-Speed shenanigans, I think that also is something to be aware about. So Terra Ghost was my option here. Cresselia, Terra Fairy, technically was pretty good, especially, you can get a little bit of offense out of your Moonblast, which is really nice against, dark stuff like maybe Chiyu, Urshifu, Dark. The Terra Fairy option can come in the clutch. Landorus, again, if you're running Terra Blast, Terra Flying, sure. At the time for me, I was doing Hammer Arm. I also like Terra Steel here, just because, Chien-Paos, they're starting to run Ice Shard now, so, this is why, the Landorus Terra Steel option is pretty good, in my opinion, okay? Tornadus, again, kind of like the Abomasnow situation, Terra Ghost, for the fake out stuff, and the Dragonite E-Speed shenanigans. And, Urshifu can just stay like Terra Water. A little bit more offense. Yes, you can go Terra Grass if you want to resist certain hits there, but I feel like just a little bit more damage if you want to Terra Water is also pretty good. And this was the team, right? And it was a pretty cool one, right? And all things considered, I think my favorite leader, like I said, was Cresselia Landorus. Sometimes you can do Landorus Tornadus, with Abomasnow and Glastrier in the back, or Cresselia Glastrier in the back when your Tailwind mode is done, potentially. But I just like having Intimidate cycling on a team like this, where you're just able to position, relatively well, and then from there, just make some proper reads and plays. But from here, now we can do the EVs, so this way we can showcase a couple of test games. Okay, so with the Glastrier here, I'm going back to my, old school, Sword and Shield spread here, which was Adamant 196, right? This is the third EV bump here at the third benchmark, and then just max HP, 60 special defense. This was always what we did, especially with the Assault Vest, but it also comes in the clutch here, and let me show you how with the damage calculator. So with 252 HP and 60 defense investment, with the Aurora Veil up, you can survive a 252 Chi-Yu overheat, all right? Get off my lawn. All right, 6.3% chance. I was going for that roll. But yeah, again, you're going to live this. And then at the same time, if the Heatran is modest and he's Life Orb, and he's modest 252 with the Life Orb, no Aurora Veil needed. Okay, I'm just going to keep the bulk there because that was my old set. You can live a Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon, 252, Life Orb, modest 2, Heatran, Flash Cannon. Okay, so this is a very good spread. Just with those two calcs alone is already like good enough, all right, in my opinion. Okay, and it's really all you need. Okay, Abomasnow. So I was trying to play the best of both worlds here. I wanted to be like slow, to do well in Trick Room, but still like have some speed investment. So this way I'm outspeeding certain threats, under Tailwind. So I still went modest, of course. And again, I am Weakness Policy, right? But again, 92 special attack is not all that great. So I almost pretty much maxed this. But in terms of speed, I went to this much, right? 36 investment. So at the very least, I can outspeed Garchomps, okay, and other base speed 100s. Something like Zapdos or, who's another Volcaronas, that kind of speed tier, okay? So I still went with that. Then from there, I still went like almost max. I went to the third benchmark here, modest 220. So this way I hit the bump, and then from there I just put 1 point in special defense, 1 point in defense. So this way I can get some nice even numbers with my Aurora Veil bulk, and then just honestly just literally just went max HP here. Just be super bulky as possible and rely on the Aurora Veil to, and hopefully get some Weakness Policy procs, and then just deal a bunch of damage with Blizzard and or Leaf Storm. Okay, that was the idea here. Cresselia, so I just went just whatchamacallit, either Sassy or Calm in the first bump here. Not Careful, it was Calm, right? Yeah, it was Calm. I just went up to here, 76 investment, and then again I'm optimizing for Tyranitar Sand chip damage, so I went to 223, because again 1/16 from the weather chip damage, it'll get you to 13.9, which rounds out to 13 damage per turn. And then from there I just wanted to do a little bit of damage, so 1 point in speed, 164 investment with my special attack, 116 in Final Sound, which is actually a lot of special attack for Cresselia. But again, I'm just trying to get a little bit of damage off of this, especially with Moonblast, get that Urshifu KOs that I want. So, I still went with this bulk, and it hasn't failed me since. And this bulk also does relatively well against the Chi-Yu Dark Pulse stuff, especially if they have a Life Orb too. So, that's also a benefit there. And then the rest was just extra. If you want, you could have just had like no special attack and put the rest in defense like this, right? You could have done this easily, right? But I wanted to get a little bit more damage, so I just went with a little bit of bulk in the defensive end, because this is already good enough to survive Wicked Blow anyway. So like, do I really need anything else in terms of that? I already survived, Ice Spinner, Throat Chop from the Chen Pal. So let's just dump the rest in special attack like this. Landorus, so Adamant 116 was what I was looking at. This was the old benchmark in Sword and Shield. And then I was just trying to figure out like, how much speed do I want an Adamant Landorus to do? And then I figured, you know what? It's early format. I don't have like any super calcs. At the very least, the Regieleki calc is right here. But do I really care about Regieleki as a ground type? No. So just to outspeed other Landoruses, I just went with like max speed. So this way I can just potentially outspeed him. And if they outspeed me, then I know that they're jolly, right? Because They shouldn't outspeed, or, you know, again, of course, there could have been a speed tie, but at the same time, you know, if they're outspeeding me more than once, either they're winning every single speed tie and are luckier than me with the 4-leaf clover as an icon, or they're jolly. All right, then from here, I could have just done this with the bulk, but again, I just wanted, again, another benchmark here with the HP with 175, you know, kind of like 223. This is, they're in between 175, 207, 223. Those are your three benchmarks, especially when you're trying to optimize, you know, for weather damage. Now, I know you're a ground type, but of course, either way, still a good number. Because then from here, 56, this is all I have left in terms of like EV. So, you know, I don't really have any like huge calcs at the moment. So I just split it up. Here, I get a nice even number in special defense, and then the rest just went into defense like this. All right, just a tiny bit of bulk, but I already achieved what I wanted by getting the max speed and the 116 attack investment. All right, Tornadus, I'm still gonna be using that same calc. It hasn't failed me yet. It's been really, really good so far. So I'm still gonna be keeping it. And if you don't know what it is, I'm just gonna show it to you right here. As soon as I find the nature, there it is, timid. I'm gonna go 172 investment. All right, this is gonna again outspeed the base 100s. Then from here, 164 investment to get to my 175 benchmark. Again, I know I already have a safety goggles, but that's okay, because still with this bulk, you're able to survive the Surging Strikes Urshifu and the Choice Band Adamant extreme speed from a Dragonite without the Qianpao. Alright, then just 1 point in special defense, and then just dump the rest into special attack like this. This is a relatively weak Bleak Storm, but you are a bulky Tornadus, which can come in the clutch, and it has come in the clutch, believe it or not. You know, just there's so many games where this thing is left on just a little bit of health, just because I have this much bulk, and then I'm just able to get off that key Bleak Wind Storm to pick up certain KOs, and it was really, really nice and satisfying for that matter. This one's the easiest one in the book, okay? We can just do this, and there's nothing else that we need to say about this guy. All right, of course, straightforward as it is. So you see what I was doing, right? I was just going for like interesting benchmarks, a couple of damage calcs, you know, just to like get my feet wet, get something started, you know, at least get, you know, a starting point, like I say, with some of these team building videos. But yeah, I like how it looks already. You know, there's a fast mode, there's a slow mode. You can play the mid-ground game. You know, it just really depends on you, whether you want to go like Tailwind, you want to go Trick Room, you want to hide behind your screens, which again, just to remind you, Urshifu doesn't care about it. You know, you can do that as well, and just be relatively bulky and just heal over time with Lunar Blessing. I think it's really, really nice. It's one of its best abilities, dude. Like I can't see this thing never dropping Lunar Blessing. I think it's so good. But again, if you want to swap something besides skill swap, that's also relatively okay as well. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take it into a couple of test games and see how it does. Okay, so this is the Sneezer, Galarian, Moltres thing, and when I was looking at the nicknames to some of these mons, I realized after the fact that this was a Winter Knights team. Okay, he made a video and a rental team out of this, so these are his spreads. I actually figured it out later as to why some things lived, and you'll see why in a second. But again, Fire, Water, Grass Core, the Urshifu, Rillaboom, and Heatran. You're going to see that a lot in Regulation D, no surprise there. But the main combination that you're going to see is, of course, the Sneasler and the Rillaboom. The Sneasler being the Grassy Seed. It's going to get the Unburden boost, going to outspeed everything, going to deal big damage, and then you can hide behind your physical bulk because you have the Grassy Seed bonus, right? And you know, there's some good synergy here with those two, because again, with the you know, the terrain, you're able to weaken earthquake damage from an opposing Landorus, hence what I have. Okay, so really, really good synergy there, and I think we'll do a whole video on it later, because I just think it's another well-known combo that people are trying right now. And then of course it's the Pranks with Thunderous. So yeah, I feel like again, Trick Room looks really good here as long as I can get it up and not get taunted. So you know, that's what I'm thinking already. But Glastrier looks really good into a lot of this. Again, both genies kind of drop. Rillaboom drops, Moltres drops. You just have to watch out for the close combat Urshifu and the Heatran, which he should definitely bring. So we'll see how he does. Okay, so now we're gonna play it off. All right, so here we go. So he leads with the combo, right? Sneasler and Rillaboom, that's okay. Cresselia and Landorus is the go-to here. So this is kind of what I thought he would do, and I'm glad I'm getting my Intimidates off. So this way, you know, they're not dealing so much damage. I understand, you know, the Sneasler is still gonna get the Unburden boost, but again, I don't really care. And this might be one of those situations where like, hey, it's gonna pay off to have Stomping Tantrum over here, but that's okay. Like he has to fake out something, right? So either he fakes out the Cress or he fakes out the Landorus. I don't think he can afford to not fake out the Cress here. Trick Room is very bad against him. So I'm still gonna go for the Trick Room, but of course I'm gonna U-turn out of here, okay, and deal some big chip damage on my way. So there's the Grassy Surge, of course. There's the boost. So he actually fakes out the Landorus, so that was even better for me. He clicks knockoff. Why he does that, I'm not quite sure. And there is the Trick Room there. So now what I can do is just repivot into Glastrier, and I did that safely just because these things are already intimidated, right? So they're not going to be doing like huge damage because Glastier's physical defense is insane. And what I want to really do now with the Landorus, because he faked out this thing instead of the Crest, is just reposition, you know, with the U-turn here. So it's like, okay, with my Cresselia. That was great damage into the Rillaboom, by the way. So here's the Abomasnow. So now look at this. We got a Grass type and a Flying type against 2 Ice types. Really, really good in terms of positioning. Now, of course, there is the Protect button on the Moltres. That's okay, and you can always switch out the Rillaboom. But at the very least, I can spam Blizzard either way, and I'm still going to be aggressive. Okay, so from here, that's exactly what he does. There's the Heatran. He has to bring that. You see 2 Ice types. All right, thankfully we have Landorus in the back somewhere, and this is of course not going to do any damage into the Heatran whatsoever, right? So that's fine, because now this is what happens next turn. So he goes for, I go for the Ice Crash, and this thing actually lives. So that told me right away that this is like super physically bulky, and I know what the spreads are afterwards. It was like 252 HP and like a little bit of defense, like maybe like 50 defense. That is going to let it live the Glastrier, right? Just a little bit barely, right? I think it was like a roll as well, but yeah, I was just impressed by that. Okay, and there's Berserk, of course. There's the Berry, you know, a little bit of recovery. I get the Aurora Veil, and I thought it was important to get the Aurora Veil than the Blizzard to knock out the Moltres, just because I want to keep the Glastrier hiding behind this Veil, because at some point, even if they kill the Abomasnow, I can just heal the Glastrier back with the Lunar Blessing, but I still want to keep the Aurora Veil going, so I took the time to set it. All right, there's a nasty plot, so this Moltres is dangerous. Okay, but again, Trick Room is still up. So this is a key and important double protect. Of course, very obvious, right? So this way he doesn't lose everything. Okay, because next turn he's going to be in better position. He's going to outspeed me, of course, which is still okay. All right, it's not the end of the world. I still have the Veil. All right, so I'm protecting Glastrier first, hoping that I can maybe pick up the KO with the Abomasnow if he ignores it, but he doesn't. He makes the right play. He goes for the double up. So that's okay. But here comes Landorus now, right? And again, Rock Slide, I'm faster than the Moltres, which is very important. So this is why it's always important, very key to run speed on your Landorus. So he doesn't really get a chance to use his Nasty Plat. And because he's so physically bulky, I figured you would have to sacrifice some EV spreads in your speed. And now the Glastrier is going to survive this Flamethrower because Glastrier is the GOAT. Why didn't he just click Flash Cannon? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe he gave it up for you know, Terra Blast or Substitute or something. I don't know why he just didn't click the Flash Cannon. But again, Flamethrower is a stronger move, I would say. So I retract that statement. It's going to do more single target damage. But because we have the Aurora Veil and because we have some special defense EVs, we're going to survive. Okay, so we live, which means we get the Stomping Tantrum off. The Heatran dies. Glastrier is +1. Rillaboom and Sneasel come back. But this time, there is no Unburdened boost. So as long as I keep cycling this Landorus, you know, I should be fine. He can't really break me at that point. And the Glastrier is nice, but I don't really need it. I really just need Cress and Landorus now. So I'm going to at least go into Cress here and recycle my Landorus. I'm going to protect Glastrier. Just get a little bit of recovery. All right. That's not going to do much. Okay. So, and now here comes the cycling. Here comes Landorus. I'm going to go for the Lunar Blessing just to heal me. Another Dire Claw. He should have just clicked knockoff into the Crest slot. I don't know why he didn't do that. I thought I was going to die, honestly, because, you know, knockoff is a good move. But actually, I was running the calcs. I have 23 HP. The most his knockoff is doing at 252 is just 21%. And I know he's not banded, so I was going to live. So thank God. All right, so here's the Lunar Blessing, of course. I don't know why I clicked knockoff on a Landorus when, you know, I just have AV. So it really doesn't matter a whole lot here. But you can see how much damage he's doing now. I'm just dealing a bunch of chip damage first, just putting things in range of U-turn and then eventually, you know, the ground move. But Lunar Blessing. Again, and what I'm just going to do is just U-turn this Rillaboom. He has no Protect. I outspeed him. He can't do a thing about it. And I can sack the Glastrier because he can still attack that slot. But then it's just Landorus plus Cresselia versus the Sneasler. And he can't win that. And I think he realized that. So this is why he forfeited, after this. So again, it was just all about, getting in the right position. Against certain of his mons. The Heatran was just the main thing I was mainly concerned about, but he didn't really have too much for the Trick Room there. Okay, so now we switch from Trick Room to playing against a hyper offensive team like this. So again, Tornadus, Regidrago, Urshifu, and Chien-Pao, very standard core there. And no Dragonite here, no Fluttermane, but instead going with the Hisuian Typhlosion and the Heatran over here. So this tells me one thing and one thing only. He's either going for Dragon Energy shenanigans or he's going for Eruption shenanigans with the Typhlosion. Makes a lot of sense either way. But I'm going to, at least at the very least, still lead the Abomasnow, because if he's going with the, the Regidrago Tornado stuff, I can still click Blizzard. I can still try and set up the Aurora Veil. And then from there, just go. All right, so let's see what he does. So he goes for a Typhlosion and Regidrago. I'm going for Tornadus and Abomasnow. So the interesting thing here is even after Tailwind, the Abomasnow will still not outspeed the Typhlosion. So this is still a very easy eruption from my opponent. At the very least, what I can still do is, again, I set the Snow, which is great for me, because then Glastrier can just come in and start dealing damage, right? So I'm still going to click. All right, it goes for Dragon Energy. Yeah, I'm going to lose everything here. So there's the eruption. I do survive on the Torn, but again, Dragon Energy is just going to do so much damage. So I lose everything turn 1. Not everything. I lose my main options. But look at this. Like, Landorus all of a sudden looks really, really good, right? Especially because I have Protect on Glacier. I can technically Earthquake here. Now, I don't know if he has Tornadus in the back. I don't think it's going to matter because, at least he can protect the Regidrago, switch the Typhlosion for the Torn if he has it. But there's only way we would find out, right? So we have to just click that button. So he protects the Regidrago, but he didn't switch the Typhlosion. I would protect the Glastrier because I didn't want to die, but the Typhlosion still drops because Typhlosion is so weak. Okay, and there's the Chien-Pao. So where is the Tornado? Still nowhere to be found. But this is all of a sudden looking good for Glastrier, right? So he Sucker Punches. That's not going to do anything. I click Rock Slide. Good chip damage there. I get the flinch because we have the 4-leaf clover as an icon on the channel. We click Icicle Crash. Now Glacier's +1. Of course, the Tailwind's not mattering here. And there's the Urshifu Rapid Strike. So he had no Tornadoes whatsoever. Okay. And, with this plus to the defense, the Glacier is looking pretty good here as long as I make the right enough play. The Landorus, on the other hand, is in a bit of trouble because this thing could have Ice Shard. This is going to punch the Landorus. But again, I have the Terra Steel option, right? Which is exactly what I'm doing. He's actually going for the Glastrier here. I don't know why. But Hammer Harm is able to pick up the Chien-Pao. Thankfully, we chipped the Urshifu, which means now it's a 2-on-1. He can't beat both. He goes for the Aqua Jet anyway, but that doesn't do the job. And we just finish things off with Landorus and Glastrier, right? So again, hyper offensive core, a little bit dangerous, but Glastrier is still able to come in the clutch and deal the job. And Landorus also is still pretty good in the back against teams like this. Because depending on what they lead with, you always have the option to switch out into it. Okay, other than that, you either click Aurora Veil or you potentially get something else up going, right? Or Trick Room, for example. So that's it. So hopefully you like the squad that we showed here. So actually, let me just bring it up one more time with the pace over here. So again, the viewer requested with Glastrier and Weakness Policy Abomasnow. So if it were up to me, I would kind of just remove this and put something like Iron Hands over here. Fake Out is really, really good. So this way you get Intimidate, you get Fake Out, you get a little bit of speed control, and from there, it's just another good Pokemon to have on your team. And then one of them can be a Swords Dance set, which is really, really good, might I add. But that's a discussion for another day. All right, but yeah, try this one out. It's actually a pretty cool team, all things considered, and at least it gives you a starting point into trying to use a Glastrier, snow team for that matter. Other than that, just go Indeedee, Hatterene, Torkoal, Glastrier in the back, man. You can't go wrong with those 4. All right, then just go Hisuian, Lilligant, and something like Crest Ursaluna, you know, something like that. One of those just very standard, you know, hard trick room core. But you know, I like this one a lot too. It was actually really, really cool and really fun when I was testing it out. So yeah, let me know what you think. And again, if you're interested in coaching and you need a little bit of help team building, take a look at the pinned link in the comment section or in the video description. There's that same link where you can join the channel with the tier 3 sub, or every single video has the join button. You can click that. Same idea. 3 different ways to get a team building session with me. And you know, also at the same time, you might as well join the Discord. You know, the link is in the video description as well. So this way you can, you know, interact with members of the Clover Nation as well as me. All right, we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.